remote highlands of the island of Preef'tora, a child was born. One whose gaze, from the very beginning, was unlike any other. It was as if something unseen had made a pact with fate long before his first breath. His cries did not echo like those of other newborns. Instead, they resembled a melody lost in the wind, and his mere presence seemed to leave behind a trace of something unknown. Something not of this world. To the people of the tribe, who had lived for generations under the ancient ways of Voodoo, these signs were not a curse. They were the unmistakable touch of destiny. His name was Jarrovako, a name the world would one day know as Witch Doctor. Even as a child, the whispers of the jungle called out to him, drawing him ever deeper into its mystery. He would gather the bones of small creatures, crafting beads and trinkets from them, guided by voices that drifted through the night wind, voices only he could hear. By the firelight, young Jarrovako watched with wide, eager eyes as the village shamans performed their ancient rituals of healing, of cursing, and he carved each secret into the walls of his mind. It was as if generations of wisdom were pouring into him, endlessly, hungrily. He began to feel like the heir to knowledge that stretched beyond a single lifetime, as if the echoes of many past lives had chosen him as their vessel. As Jarrovako grew older, he became an apprentice to the tribe's elder shamans, but it wasn't long before the students surpassed his teachers. Within the potions and chants they had long practiced, he sensed deeper truths, hidden layers of power that even they could not see. Under the moonlit skies, he would venture alone into the depths of the jungle, searching for wisdom far beyond what any lesson could offer. In the solitude of these mysterious nights, Jarrovako would retreat to hidden groves among the sacred trees, performing secret rituals. With blood, he drew arcane symbols upon the earth, and around the ancient totems, he danced, his movements an invocation to forces unseen. Invisible spirits gathered, watching in silence. It is said that in those very sacred moments, the ancient spirits themselves became his teachers, whispering the deepest secrets of the voodoo arts into his ear. Jarrovako returned from those dark rituals bearing powers that struck fear, even into the hearts of the tribe's elders. He had uncovered a dreadful trove of spells, charms, and curses, knowledge not meant for ordinary men. In his hand, he carried a tall staff, adorned with skulls and mysterious talismans. And with each step he took, as the staff struck the ground, it echoed with a buried whisper of power, a murmur that stirred the very soil beneath him. For every ailment and affliction that plagued the innocent, Jarrovako carried a remedy. And for every dark curse or sinister spell that threatened his people, he had a magical antidote ready. The villagers came to him not only for healing wounds of the flesh, but to banish evil and undo the work of curses. He was a healer with one foot in the spirit world and one hand in the realm of the living. A kind-hearted doctor to those in need, but to his enemies, he could become the wrath of the gods made flesh. But fate had chosen to test Jarrovako's faith and will in a fire unlike any before. A deadly plague swept across Preef'tora, a disease that rotted flesh and defied all known remedies. Famine and drought followed in its wake, and the pain was deepened by raids from hostile tribes. Jarrovako fought tirelessly, day and night, using his strongest concoctions, calling upon every spirit he knew. But no matter how hard he tried, it was never enough. The shadow of death only grew darker, spreading like a storm with no end in sight. In those dark days, Jarrovako recalled the legend of a famed healer named Owalb, one who had lived through an age of endless famine, plague, and violence. It was said that Owalb came to understand a terrible truth, that all those misfortunes were merely signs, warnings of a far greater catastrophe looming over the world. And so, in a desperate act to save his people, Owalb broke his sacred oaths of healing. He turned his legendary cauldron toward the dark and destructive arts. His greatest service to his tribe was not in purity, but in sacrifice. He tainted his holiest vows in the name of protection, and left behind a legacy as shadowed as it was heroic. Inspired by the tale of Owalb, Jarrovako made a choice, one both harrowing and resolute. To save his people, he would pay any price, even if it meant defying the first and most sacred law of all healers: do no harm. Jarrovako prepared the curse ritual he had long carried in silence. Then came a stormy night. The wind howled, and lightning tore across the heavens. The sick and starving huddled in their huts, whispering prayers into the dark, while the gaunt sorcerer rose, alone, unshaken, and walked forth toward the camp of the invaders, the ones who had brought this ruin. The air crackled with ominous energy. The rain fell in torrents, pounding the earth as if nature itself braced for what was to come. Jarrovako stood face to face with the war chief, the brutal man who had ordered the pillaging and bloodshed. Enemy soldiers gathered around, sneering at the frail figure before them. But Jarrovako raised his staff and slammed it into the ground. He began to chant, low, steady, in a language older than memory. And in that fateful moment, the gentle healer vanished, replaced by a ruthless reaper of souls. His eyes glowed with an otherworldly light, and the power of wicked spirits surged through his veins. He lifted a bone-thin finger and aimed it at the tyrant's chest. Then came the curse.
By my bones, I swear, your blood will spill.
Heavy, haunting silence fell. The proud war chief smirked and raised his blade to strike. But then, he froze. Pain surged through his body. A black mark bloomed across his chest. Invisible wounds tore through his flesh, as if unseen claws ripped into him. Jarrovako's curse had taken hold. Every injury the warlord had ever inflicted now returned to him, each one reborn with all the agony and rage of its victim. His bones began to crack, one by one. His blood boiled, as if set ablaze by the torment of the countless souls he had wronged. A scream, inhuman, unbearable, erupted from his throat. His body twisted violently, like a serpent writhing in fire. And then, silence. Nothing remained of the mighty invader but a lifeless husk. The curse had spoken. Voodoo had answered. The remaining warriors, having witnessed the war chief's horrific demise, dropped their weapons in terror. Panic took them. One by one, they fled, vanishing into the darkness of the jungle, desperate to escape the wrath of the sorcerer. They did not look back. On that storm-swept night, Jarrovako saved his people, but the price he paid was steep. To protect the innocent, he had crossed the forbidden threshold of his calling, shattering the sacred oath of healers. Do no harm. The village doctor had stepped into darkness, not out of malice, but in service of the light. And in doing so, he had forever changed the course of his fate. From that day on, the people looked upon him with a mix of awe and fear. He was no longer just a healer. He was, in every sense of the word, the witch doctor, a savior, a curse.
The lowers have listened. Honor their gift. Like and subscribe.